Rarely have we seen a takedown of a league commissioner as calmly or efficiently delivered. The fact that it came from Napisa Collier, one of the league's best players and most respected voices, only amplified its impact.
Scott Van Pelt just totally schooled the WNBA commissioner, Cathy Engelbert. And honestly, it wasn't even a fair fight. You saw it on ESPN. SVP just calmly, almost surgically, picked apart her leadership, or let's be real, the lack of it. And everyone is talking about it. When a respected voice like Van Pelt goes in like that, it's a huge deal. It makes you wonder, is it finally time for Cathy Engelbert to step down?
The response from WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert came in the form of a statement, which is itself a statement, but not one Engelbert should aspire to make. When a star player says directly, "We have the worst leadership in the world and you are the leader," your response that you're disheartened that your perspectives differ makes me wonder if you heard what Fee said. Because it's not differing perspectives. It was a direct call for your job.
Listen, the WNBA is in the spotlight like never before, right? We've got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Bucker's hype, all this buzz around a wild season. You'd think the headlines would be about record ratings or amazing finals matchups. But here's the thing, that's not what we're talking about. Nope, it's Scott Van Pelt on ESPN, just absolutely torching Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. And he did it in that classic SVP style. Super calm, really surgical, almost polite, but totally devastating underneath.
Collier said, "I've earned this platform," which she had, and said, "I don't care what the fine is," which, if I hear her correctly, is to say you have nothing to threaten me with. The chorus of voices of current stars in the WNBA, which echo Collier's sentiment, didn't have a single opposing voice.
Why? And get this, it all started because Napisa Collier lit the fuse earlier this week. Her exit interview pretty much called the league's leadership the worst in professional sports. She didn't just hint at it, she straight up exposed a private chat where Engelbert allegedly said Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the WNBA because without it, she wouldn't be making money. Excuse me? What? Did Cathy Engelbert just completely miss the entire Iowa era? Did she forget Clark's massive NIL empire, which was way bigger than what most WNBA vets make in a whole season, even before Clark declared for the draft?
As for what Engelbert is alleged to have said to Collier, if she actually suggested Caitlin Clark should be grateful for what she makes off the court, that's preposterous. Did you miss the Iowa years? Clark is the Tiger Woods tide that lifts all boats, and we know this show is proof. The highest rating we have ever had followed one of her games at Iowa. The WNBA has benefited from her presence more than the other way around, even though this year for Caitlin Clark was essentially lost.
SVP honed in on that.
CVP just pointed out something super obvious, but it clearly went right over the commissioner's head. Caitlin Clark is the rising tide lifting the entire WNBA, not the other way around. The league is absolutely benefiting from Clark way more than she's benefiting from them. And Van Pelt came with the receipts. ESPN's highest ratings for women's basketball after college, all tied to Caitlin Clark. The All-Star game, Clark brought in more viewers than anyone, and the commissioner is out here saying Clark should be grateful? I mean, that's not just tone deaf, it's completely delusional. SVP really sharpened the knife right there. He didn't yell, didn't rant, he just calmly laid it out.
Post from Elena Deladon on Instagram, who said, and I quote, "It's the care for the human part for me. I'm not sure Cathy knows I've retired. Heard from everyone but her." And I don't like to pile on, that's not my thing. But when a player is beloved, respected, and decorated as Deladon retires as a multiple MVP, league champion, 7-time All-Star, and member of the W25, which celebrated the top 25 players in the league's first 25 years, you throw that woman a parade. To fail even the most basic and decent things to do, which is to reach out to say thanks, which by the way couldn't be easier to do, is to fail the most basic and...
On top of all that, SVP brought up Elena Deladon. This is a multiple-time MVP, a league champion, one of the top 25 players in WNBA history, who just retired. And what did she say? She heard from everyone, fans, players, coaches, except Cathy Engelbert. Seriously, one of the most respected vets in league history retires, and the commissioner can't even send a text? That's not leadership. That's just plain negligence. Scott Van Pelt called it out. A total failure to do the most basic, decent parts of her job. Just reach out, say thanks, celebrate your stars. It costs nothing and shows you actually care. But Cathy just couldn't be bothered. Then, when she got called out, she put out this bland statement about being disheartened and committed to collaboration. SVP nailed it. This isn't about different perspectives. This is about the commissioner being directly called out as the main problem.
According to Sportico, franchise valuations have soared. Players want more money and the CBA expires at the end of this month. This was a whole lot more than just a shot across the bow. The WNBA Finals begin this Friday, and we typically hear from Adam Silver on the eve of the NBA Finals. Cathy Engelbert has got to do more than say she's
Now,
Here's the part that just makes all of this even worse. Not a single person has come out to defend Cathy Engelbert. Not one player, not a coach, not even an intern tweeting for the league. Nothing. Instead, we've heard a whole chorus of players backing up Collier. Lexi Hall spoke out, and Sophie Cunningham flat out blasted Engelbert as the most delusional leader the league has ever seen. Even Gino Auriemma, who barely agrees with anyone, said the WNBA's physicality is actually ruining the game. When rookies, vets, and Hall of Fame coaches are all saying the same thing, you've got a serious problem. And here's the kicker, Van Pelt pointed out this isn't just noise or some spicy soundbite. This is all happening right before the CBA negotiation. The collective bargaining agreement is up, and the players are fed up with being underpaid, ignored, and constantly told to be grateful. When your biggest star calls the league leadership the worst in the world, and another respected vet says she's proud of her for speaking out, that's not business as usual. That's a full-on rebellion. Scott Van Pelt totally gets it. He said Collier wasn't just firing a warning shot. She was basically telling the league, fix this, or we're blowing it all up. And that's not just hyperbole. The players have real leverage now. Caitlin Clark isn't just some average prospect. She's a walking economy. She brings in sponsorships, TV ratings, ticket sales that the WNBA has literally never seen before. If Engelbert genuinely believes the league is bigger than the players who are driving all that revenue, she's either completely out of touch or just willfully blind. Now let's talk about the officiating, because SVP didn't let the Caitlin Clark angle slide here either. He called out how absurd it is to say Clark owes her success to the WNBA. Everyone knows. It's the total opposite. Clark's brand was absolutely massive before she even stepped foot in the league. Her NIL deals, her TV ratings, her ticket sales at Iowa, they all prove that. She brought that value with her. The WNBA didn't build Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark boosted the WNBA. To downplay that, it's not just foolish, it's basically self-sabotage for the league. What's more, SVP highlighted something subtle but super powerful. The unanimity. Not a single player defended Engelbert. Instead, more and more voices piled on, from Lexi Hall to Sophie Cunningham, to vets across the league. Even coaches like Cheryl Reeve and Becky Hammon have been fined just for criticizing the league's officiating and leadership. When the criticism is this widespread and the response from leadership is so weak, that's a recipe for disaster. Then SVP brought up the optics, because he knows how much that matters in sport. Right before the finals, instead of hype around the matchup, the big story is players rip commissioner, coaches fined, and stars call leadership the worst in sports. That's not building excitement. It's building resentment. SVP made it clear, you cannot have this level of public discontent without accountability at the top. And here's where Scott really drove it home. He said the league is at a flashpoint, franchise values are skyrocketing. Expansion is on the table. Media rights are potentially worth billions. This should be the WNBA's golden era. Instead, the commissioner is under fire. Players are furious, and fans are wondering if they can even take the league seriously. That's not sustainable. That's not leadership. It's a complete failure to capitalize on momentum. That should be the way SVP put it was brutally simple. When a player like Napheesa Collier says we have the worst leadership in the world, that's not just a perspective. That's a direct call for your job. And he's right. You can't spin that, you can't hide from it. You either prove them wrong with real action, or you resign. Plus, here's the uncomfortable truth Van Pelt hinted at, but everyone knows, Adam Silver is watching. The The NBA subsidizes the WNBA. The NBA props it up financially, and Silver has a huge interest in making sure the WNBA doesn't just implode. If ESPN personalities like Stephen A. Smith and Scott Van Pelt are openly questioning the commissioner's future, how long until Silver actually steps in and makes a move? Fans are absolutely connecting the dots. Terrible officiating, a commissioner who doesn't talk to players, injuries piling up, stars retiring without acknowledgement, players fined for speaking truth. And now, Caitlin Clark, the literal golden goose, is being dragged into controversy because Engelbert decided to minimize her value. It's like the league is tripping over its own feet at the exact moment it should be sprinting forward. SVP wasn't just analyzing. He was sending a real warning: fix this or you risk losing everything you've built. And honestly, he's totally right. If the WNBA can't keep its stars healthy, if it can't protect players from bad officiating, and if it can't even celebrate its own legends, why should fans believe the league is serious about growth? That's why Van Pelt's takedown hit so hard. He didn't rant, didn't scream, didn't make it about himself. He just calmly laid out the facts, and those facts were absolutely devastating. Collier's words, Della Dunn's retirement, Clark's undeniable value, the officiating crisis, the total silence from leadership. Put it all together, and it paints a clear picture of a league being sabotaged by its own commissioner. And the reaction online just proved it. Fans were nodding along. Players were retweeting Collier's comment. Even casual viewers who don't usually follow the WNBA were saying, "Wow, this is a mess." When your reputation is that damaged, a bland press release about being disheartened isn't going to cut it. Scott Van Pelt didn't scream or rant. He simply told the truth, and it really stung. When players, fans, and ESPN's biggest voices all agree the WNBA has a leadership crisis, it's just impossible to ignore. So what happens now? Does Cathy Engelbert step down, or does Adam Silver finally push her out?